Welcome back to the Cut the Film podcast. I'm your host, James. With me, we have the lovely Heavenly Ann right next to me. We have Josh right there. He's blowing his little smoke rings. And we got the notorious Richie right here.
How's it going? All
right, so perfect. So we've been off the air a couple of weeks due to some stuff that was going on. How's everybody been since you're taking a break?
I've been good. I'm on new medication. I'm just gonna say it. I'm on new medication, so like my mood is good right now.
So the medication is working for you?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
I'm so happy about it.
How can I get on?
What about you, Josh? How have you been?
Well, you already know my answer, but I'm good.
You're good?
Just working. Just, really to enjoy the weekend for sure. It's been a long week.
It has been.
But happy to be here. Happy to have you guys back. Missed you guys.
Happy to see you guys again. What about you, Mr. Richie? How's your week been?
Well, the guy voted for loss, so not that good.
You voted for Trump?
No.
Okay,
But
good.
I like how people probably got mad.
That was Richie's moment to try to trigger everybody just for the time being.
Fuck Donald Trump. What does YG say?
Regardless of what happened, what's done is done, and I hope that you are one of the people that accepts the reality of the outcomes and you're not floating some nonsense conspiracy theories.
Me?
Because it's over.
Oh, you're talking to whoever's
Suck
Over.
a sack, Trump.
Over.
Suck a sack.
It's over. One and done, son. One and done. So we have some news to get into right away. One of the first things I wanted to discuss was a couple of major deaths that shook up the Hollywood industry this week. One of them was Alex Trebek, the host of Jeopardy. And we all know Jeopardy is an important part of everybody's lives. It feels like every American household grew up with the show watching Jeopardy. So how does everybody feel about this? But we'll start with you, Heaven.
I mean, of course I'm sad. He's like a name everyone knows. Like no matter how old you are, everyone was like, oh, "No, Alex Trebek." My mom though was like brokenhearted.
She was brokenhearted?
Yeah, she was actually like really, really sad about it.
He was a host for almost like 32 years, right? With Jeopardy.
Yeah,
that's dedication right there for sure.
It's probably one of the most popular and highest rated game shows of all time, period. And I feel like everybody grew up with Alex Trebek, whether or not you were a fan. He was a part of your life. You saw him growing up, and if you weren't a fan, your kids probably
had no cable.
were.
Right.
Yeah. Did you watch Jeopardy growing up?
I've seen episodes here now and then.
Yeah.
I knew that he was sick, so it kind of felt like it was just
It was gonna happen.
it was just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons people are sad is because Jeopardy has become such a big part of American culture. People watch it all the time. It's going to be hard to find a replacement for Alex Trebek because he's been the face of that show ever since it started. So I'm sure they're going to try some way to revive it or can keep it going, but I can't really picture anybody taking that spot or slotting in.
Because what was it? Bob Barker, when he left, Price is Right. Like getting more hosts on it just wasn't the same show. So
It wasn't.
having Alex Trebek there, they got Drew Carey, which he was pretty good, but it's not the same.
And so with Alex Trebek, he was actually contracted to host Jeopardy until 2022. He had a nearly 2-year battle with pancreatic cancer, so he actually lived longer than they expected him to do.
Good.
He's been a big part of our lives. So my only thing is thoughts and prayers definitely go out to the family and all of his loved ones. He's been a big part of our life, and it's going to be a little bit difficult. I honestly don't see how Jeopardy is going to continue after this. I'm pretty sure they're going to try something, but to me, he is so part of what that show was that I just don't see it happening.
You could basically see him as like a pioneer of it, because outside of that, like game shows overall blew up. He started getting different types of game shows. He started getting Family Feud. He started getting...
But even like if you think about like Family Feud, it's been on for years too, but they've had like so many hosts.
Yeah.
So for Jeopardy to just be him for all of these years, it's like
it's gonna be a difficult change.
Ow.
Yeah, it's definitely so. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I can't picture anybody replacing Alex Trebek just because I'm not even a big Jeopardy fan, but I've seen many episodes throughout my life. I think if you grew up in this country, it's kind of hard to avoid Jeopardy.
Well, I grew up with Latino, so we had the Spanish version of it.
Oh yeah, so either your parents or your grandparents watched it. So yeah, I mean, R.I.P. Alex Trebek. You've been a huge part of
everybody's life,
American culture for what, like 30, 40 years?
He's an American treasure.
He's an American treasure. Godspeed. On to other news. Sean Connery, the original James Bond, also passed away, and he passed. Let's see, how old was he?
He was in his 80s, right?
He was age 90 when he passed
damn.
away.
I was 10 years behind. Down.
So he did live a long life. He was voted by People magazine as the sexiest man of the century in 1999. He is the original James Bond, kind of defined what the character was, what we think of James Bond in terms of being a smooth, an action hero, kind of being a ladies' man.
Bond.
And he was the father in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. His last movie was, I believe, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And he almost had a part in The Matrix, but he turned it down because he didn't understand the script.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was good.
Yeah. So yeah, this is another one where it is a little bit sad because Sean Connery kind of reminds me of my grandparents. My grandparents grew up watching the James Bond movies, so they grew up with the original Sean Connery films. So I feel like for a certain generation, that's a massive loss. But he was age 90, so I kind of feel like it's not too big of a surprise.
It's a way you could celebrate. I mean, overall, when it comes to death, I think the way people should see it is you have to celebrate it. Like they live, especially with them, like he lived a very long life, successful life at itself. He's such an iconic person himself. Like we all gonna know him as James Bond.
Was he sick?
No, I don't think so.
I don't believe so, but I mean, when you're age 90, I mean, you're probably a lot more susceptible to different diseases and different things. Let me check really quick. I am kind of curious to see.
But overall, I mean, the Bond series throughout the time that he's been has overall still been a successful one. I mean, we have a new one coming out with Daniel Craig still, so still good.
I heard they found a new James Bond.
I've heard too.
That's gonna be a girl.
It's me.
It's you. It's Heaven.
Oh, I heard it's supposed to be a girl.
Yeah.
Well, from what I understand,
James Bond.
it's not James Bond because 007 is a specific agent who's James Bond. So there's different ones. So from what I gather,
Jane Bond.
it's supposed to be a different
I'm
person.
Agent 006. So
Agent 006. Yep.
better than 7.
Yeah.
So would he be 8?
No, I'm before him.
But usually when the next person.
And I'll be 6. I'll be 8.
I'm before.
Mhm.
The backstory.
Is the PS4 better than the PS5? I don't know.
So from what I read,
know.
Sean Connery had
I'm still on the
dementia.
PS3.
Sean Connery had dementia in his final years, and he had a sickness that was undisclosed for a very long time. We still don't know what it is. But when he passed away, we had a lot of tributes from Hollywood, from everywhere from Nicolas Cage to Robert De Niro, Alec Baldwin, Hugh Jackman, George Lucas, Kevin Costner, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Barbara Streisand, Harrison
They all
Ford.
live around his peak age.
Yeah, they all came out and paid tribute. So I feel like it's the passing of an American icon.
As well.
I don't feel it's too tragic only because he lived such a very long and successful life.
Yeah.
And most of us could only wish to have that
kind
kind of like to live to age 90 and become such a pop culture icon.
Well, we still can't say. We're still young.
Yeah.
We gotta hold on. Yeah.
So RIP, RIP.
76.
I'm 80. Oh,
So
well,
we
I'm
make,
28, but my body feels 84.
so we're saying,
84.
so we're saying we're
Okay,
making
at
a
least
bet
in
here,
the
huh?
60s.
Oh,
So,
Josh.
$5?
What?
Stop acting like an old man.
Skateboarding and football injuries suck. They age you years more than you expect.
There's no doubt about
I
that.
believe that.
I believe that. I believe that. So one of the things that we've been meaning to talk about on this podcast for a while is the new show on Netflix called Ratched. It was a very big hit. It was one of the Netflix.
It's about ratchets?
Yeah, about Nurse Ratched, a nurse named Ratched. It's not about Ratched
I
or
was
about
like, damn,
hood girls.
where can I find this? You said Netflix?
Ratcheds? No.
Is it rated R?
But before we get into that, one of the things that I wanted to mention was Ratched is actually comes from a movie from 1975 called One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It stars Jack Nicholson and also Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratched. This movie was released in 1975. It was a pop culture phenomenon. It made a lot of movie. It won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, so the best movie of the year, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, so best script based on a novel. It had Best Actor for Jack Nicholson and Best Actress for Louise Fletcher, who played Nurse Ratched. And it was actually in 1993, the film was actually preserved by the Library of Congress. So this movie is preserved by the government and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry for being a movie that is historically or aesthetically significant. So did you guys get a chance to watch this classic movie?
Yeah.
I watched it when I was
Mhm.
younger and I liked it, and then I forgot I was with my girl, and then we got home and we saw it. So like, oh, dude, it's been a long time since we've seen this. Like, let's watch it again. And overall, just rewatching the movie was like, overall, we already know Jack Nicholson is iconic himself. Like every movie he's been has been
It's
overall
Jack
just the
Nicholson.
hits. Jack Nicholson. And overall, just seeing overall the casting that they had before. I mean, Christopher Lloyd, Doc Brown. Like,
Yeah.
when I saw that, we had so many characters.
Also, Danny
Danny DeVito. Yeah.
Yeah. So Danny DeVito is on the television series, as most of you know, called It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And there was actually an episode where he's in a mental institute where they parody One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So they've even referenced it on
And
that show
Michael.
so far.
Never mind. That was
So if you think about it, it's Jack Nicholson and Danny DeVito. It's the original Joker and the original Penguin in the movie.
Yeah.
Another one of the big things for this movie is the actor Brad Dourif. He went on to be the voice of Chucky.
Oh yeah.
And the voice of Chucky
Who's
in The
Brad
Child's
Dourif?
Place. In this film, he is, let me look really quick. He is the young kid
Billy
who commits
Ribbit.
suicide.
Oh,
Billy,
okay.
the
Yeah.
kid who commits suicide at the end of the movie. That is actually Chucky. So between Christopher Lloyd, Danny DeVito, Brad Dourif, this movie actually kicked off a lot of people's careers in Hollywood.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get started with you,
Especially with all those freaking words. Yeah.
yeah, and especially a movie that made as much money as it did at the time, and to be a big a big awards
Yeah.
movie. It's a combination of the two, so it had success critically and commercially. So, what were your thoughts on this movie when you saw it, Heaven?
So I have two opinions on this movie.
All right, let's hear them.
The first opinion being like just a regular person watching the movie, and then as a person that's like actually been hospitalized in a mental hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And so like as just watching the movie, I was like, oh my God, it's kind of funny. It's a funny movie to me, actually.
Yeah.
I was like, is it not a comedy? 'Cause
No,
I feel like
Yeah, it's funny.
Of course, Jack Nicholson.
Even though the ideas behind it are serious, I feel there's a lot of humor in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely. And the whole movie, I was just like, how is he getting away with this? Like, I don't understand. He's obviously not whatever he's trying to pass off. And he even told them that he wasn't, but like, whatever. But as someone that's been there, like all of those characters are people that are actually in there, like that you talk to. And I hated Jack Nicholson's character, like the character that he was playing, the people that were just like disruptive during groups. And you're like, come on, like we're trying to like fucking learn something, actually get something out of this. And they're just like being an asshole for no reason. Those people irritated the fuck out of me. Also, like all the other people, obviously there are people in there like that.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite was the really nervous guy. I can't think of his name right now, but like he was just like, you know who I'm talking about?
Which one? The one with the glasses?
Yeah, I think it was one.
Yeah.
Okay, he
And
was
he's like,
actually a
I wanted to
teacher
hug him
in
so
Carrie.
much.
He was
Yeah.
actually a teacher in the movie Carrie, which came out, I think, a year after One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Okay, the older Carrie then. Okay.
Yeah, the older Carrie,
Original.
the original. So, do you feel this movie was kind of a realistic portrayal of how?
It is in there. I
How
feel
it
like
is in
back
there.
then, probably. I mean, obviously things change over the years, but yeah, I still think there's some trueness to it, but also like some not.
Yeah, I mean that's just overall movies
Because
itself.
it's a
Like they
movie,
try to
yeah.
stay as
Mhm.
noted as to what actually goes in there, but
they still have
overall,
to make
just
it
to make it a movie,
dramatized.
Okay.
dramatized,
Yeah.
they always add.
Did you like the ending of the movie? Did it make you sad?
It did, but like I was glad that that guy got away. Like I was glad that he got out.
Will Sampson?
Is that
Yeah.
was his name?
Yeah, Chief.
Yeah.
He played the chief. Okay, perfect. So, what did you think of it, Josh?
Overall, like it was.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Go.
Also, Nurse Ratchet.
Okay, I want to hear about
She's
her.
the fucking worst.
She's the worst?
I hated her. I hated all the nurses when I was in there. Oh my god,
Well,
the
did you-
nurses are the
did you
fucking
like her in the
worst.
show,
They
though?
honestly, no, because
No,
I was like,
okay.
that's for real how they are. Like they're
So, do you think this was
Asshole.
kind of a realistic portrayal? Because at the time this movie came out, it was pretty controversial in
Yeah.
terms of what it was
What's going
depicting
on?
as far
Well,
as.
because
like
at
it
the
was.
time, that's when they started noticing that asylums were more of like projects to them. Like they weren't even taking care of their
The people in there.
Yeah, the patients, like they
And
just
that's
did whatever the
exactly
hell they
how
wanted.
that shit be.
Yeah, and it's just like overall, like you said, that whole realistic part of it at the time where everything was very more controversial. Now everything's more
I
controversial.
feel people are more like familiar with
Yeah.
the psychiatric
Yeah.
process and what mental hospitals are these
Yeah,
days. than
but
they were in
overall,
the
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 more
70s.
newer
movie
things
was
back
great. Jack Nicholson, overall, I mean, we already knew he was a convicted felon that was in there who
Yeah.
just played the part in order because he thought he was going to be getting out sooner than he expected. But
Yeah.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
just overall the character that he had, like he's an asshole, but being in there, he learned that little compassion that he had for those patients.
Did-
Like took him on a boat ride, and that's
He was kind of an asshole. But do you think there's a part of him that was a good person? Because
Yeah.
I do
I get
think
the
that.
feeling that he did care about the people that were in
well.
there.
Why did
and
he?
wanted to try to improve
I can't
their
really
lives?
clearly
Mhm.
remember, but why did he get caught up again? What was the reason for?
Well, the reason was he was trying to break out, but they ended up holding a party and
getting drunk and
getting
everyone
drunk and
passed
passing
out.
out.
Yeah.
So the nurses came before he could escape.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
he was trying to give them kind of like a good time. You know what I mean? Because he
Yeah.
felt that a lot of these people were not actually
Yeah.
crazy. They just needed to
Well,
like
just
get out into
overall,
the
like
world.
his character development from the beginning of the movie to where he's like he just wants to get out to actually understanding what's really going on and seeing the way Nurse Ratched was and how basically everybody is mistreated there, even though they're just. I mean, they have issues. Like
Yeah.
you have to be compassionate to them. You can't really be an ass, but.
It's not
I
a
mean,
job you should take. if
yeah,
you
it's not a
don't
job you should take
want
if
to
you can't be
compassionate.
patient. Yeah. If you can't really, then don't take it because then that's when things like that happen.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, that movie was great. The ending was sad. I mean,
Yeah.
I wanted Jack Nicholson to get away with Chief. Honestly, I thought that was the best character thing. But seeing the ending, I was
But
like, oh damn.
It was like a win-lose.
It was kind
Yeah,
of
it was like a
also
win-lose.
like maybe he personally didn't win, but he inspired
inspired
other
people,
to
yeah.
try to think.
Someone else get out.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
mean, he met Chief and he's like, okay, he's just quiet, but he's being smart about it. Like, other than him, he's very loud. He was just trying to cause a fuzz. When in reality, that's not the way you should have done it in order to get
Yeah.
out of there much faster. So that's why
Right.
I feel like he learned that part. But just overall, the whole character that he played at that time gave him that he was. Everybody had to look out for him. So
Definitely.
that's why he wasn't able to get out. And then just knowing that he went through all that was like, damn, with the whole electricity to the dome, down.
Yeah, terrible. What did you
Not
think?
just electricity, right? They cut out a piece of his brain.
They
Well,
cut
it's a
off
lobotomy.
A lobotomy.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's kind of suggested. They don't really spell it
Yeah,
out,
they
but
don't
it's
say it.
suggested that he got a lobotomy.
Yeah, because you see the scar
The
on
scar.
him.
Yeah. So what did you think about it, Richie?
Well, I thought that you could see why Tim Burton picked Jack Nicholson to be the
Was
Joker.
this a Tim Burton movie?
No.
I'm
Why
saying-
Oh.
Tim Burton picked him to be the Joker?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
To be the Joker because obviously he played that
Maniacal,
role very well,
yeah.
maniacal like person very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played a maniacal person, but I also think that he's also kind of likable and relatable too. Like I kind of feel like the scene where he's trying to get everybody to watch the World Series, to watch
Oh, yeah.
baseball, to bring some normalcy into their lives. I feel like that's something that we could all relate to.
Yeah.
Like what he was trying to do was, well, I understand the nurses have their idea about how mental health runs and they're trying to help them out. But his idea is, well, why don't you just let them live like regular people and see how it is just
Yeah.
to relax, to sit
Mm-hmm.
and watch, just watch a baseball game, just have fun like that.
Just being all stubborn. It's because they're on a schedule.
So, do you think he was an asshole or a good guy or a bit of both?
He was a bit of
bit of
both.
both.
Yeah.
You think he was a bit of
Yeah.
both?
You could see that as this, and also I think Nurse Ratched pushed him to.
Cause she,
Yeah.
I feel like she kind of already knew.
I think that's what her role was there, was to
called the BF.
and just pretty much keep them there.
And
Keep them
I
on
feel
check.
like they like antagonize you.
So I have a
That's
question
what-
for you guys about
Yeah.
Nurse Ratched. All right, I know that she comes across as terrible and she's unlikable and she does things that you would hate. Do you think there's a part of her that actually cared about the people she was taking care of, or do you
Yeah.
think she was just
No, you could
a
see
bitch?
it.
Okay.
But it's just like overall, when it comes to having a job for such a long time, like there's just certain
Mhm.
points in time where you're just gonna lose it.
Yeah.
So that's where it's understandable that way. But her actions just overall, when the movie were viewed more negatively than expected. Like we never see a full story. You know, we want to. They
So-
they
I
show us
guess
what
you
they
can
want.
see it more in the show.
I hate
Yeah,
her.
that's
Yeah,
I think
in
what
the
the
show,
show is
yeah.
for.
Because
But
that
do
show
you-
was more based on her.
But do
Hate her
you
more in
guys
the
get
show?
the
Yeah.
impression that she cared about her patients, or do you think she was just cruel?
No.
Maybe at the beginning.
I didn't feel like she cared about her patients. I felt like she cared about her
Herself?
agenda, what
Okay.
she was
Yeah.
trying to get
What about
done.
you?
And maybe at the beginning, like during the show, but like she said, then she got an agenda, and that's all she cared about.
See-
'Cause in the show, you can see her with that doctor.
And that's where I
main
saw.
guy.
That's where I said like the portrayal of it in the movie. We only get to see the dark side of her. As for in the show, we actually see
The human side.
the human
Backstory.
side of her, and what got her to the point of
Yeah.
not
And-
caring about her.
So that's what so we'll
Patience.
segue into the TV series Ratchet right now. So that's what I thought was interesting about this is that in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, I mean she won Best Actress for that, and I
Yeah.
think she deserved it because she kind of conveys this like really icy cold, non-caring quality. All right. Spoiler alert, she was kind of like wounded by the end of the film, and you could see how much it physically messed her up.
Yeah.
I got the feeling that she was kind of reminded why she became a nurse in the first place at the end when one of the patients is walking through.
Yeah.
She asked, "Oh, how did your treatment go and how's your medication?"
And she
Well,
already has
she-
the patch on.
She
her
has
neck.
like the brace on her neck
Yeah.
and everything. I get the feeling that she was genuine
She had a
right
reality
there.
check.
Yeah, that she just needed to have some kind of reality check to remind her
Yeah.
why she became
And it
who
took
she
Jack
was.
Nicholson to
But
figure it
she's
out.
always been such a mysterious character, which is interesting that they decided to make a show.
And overall, Sarah Paulson kills it as her too. She's
As-
an amazing actress.
yeah.
Everything she's been in has
In
always
everything.
been great.
So the original actress is Louise Fletcher, and
Louise
she
Fletcher.
won Best Actress. And the actor who plays her in the television series Ratchet is Sarah Paulson. So did you guys get to check out the first season? It's going to be a 2-season series, by the way.
Oh,
two?
nice.
Yeah. So after season 2, the idea is that when season 2 ends, you're going to basically get the Nurse Ratchet that is in the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. So what do you guys think of the TV show so far?
Yeah, like I said, I feel like I hated her more on the show.
Did?
I mean, like I got to see why she was the way she was, but at the same time, I was like, oh,
Because I mean, overall, you
You're-
knew that
you're
from the
still a
beginning of the
nasty
season.
person.
Yeah, she was letting people
Like-
off the hook, kind of like trying to get them out.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, I don't know. I feel like she, like I said, she had an agenda, and she would kill or do whatever she had to do to get those
What she
people
wanted.
out of her way so that she could do it. And she fucked over a lot of people. I think. I guess she helped a couple, but for the most part, I feel like she did a lot of harm.
Do you think it was a good sequel to the movie, or do you think it's almost like, or it's its own thing?
I feel like it's its own thing, honestly. I don't feel like the two relate, but I can understand that you're saying that it's going to be another season that like leads closer to why she is the way she is in the movie, like completely. But in the show, I understand why she's a nasty person because of everything that happened to her when she was younger. But the movie and the show, Ratchet, I don't feel like are the same person. I don't know.
You
It
feel?
doesn't feel the same. to me.
I could kind of see that. What about you, Josh?
No, the same way. Like when the first time we said it in the pod with like that we were gonna talk about it. Like you're like, oh, it's connected to it. And I was like, oh, okay. Like at first when I talked
You
about
have
it,
to be
I thought,
reminded
I
that
thought
it's
it was.
connected.
You know, I was like, you know what? There's some sort of connection because it's Nurse Ratchet, and then I saw the movie again, and I was like, oh shoot, maybe it's the same character. And then you basically validated it for me, and I was like, oh, okay, so. I ended up finishing watching the season because I was only like on episode 5 or 6. I started watching Haunted House on Bly House or Haunting
The
of Bly
Haunting
House?
of Bly Manor.
can't.
That
Bly
was
Manor.
good. It was good.
I like the first season better, but that'll be
It's
for
good.
another time. But yeah, it is good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I just ended up getting distracted, but I ended up just finishing it, and I was like, oh, okay. But I
Do you
like the
feel
show.
it's like almost like a different thing
Mhm.
that they kind of just used
overall
it?
just watching the show? It still felt that whole American Horror Story-ish feel of it because
That's what I was
they
gonna
did refresh some of the characters that were in there. So I'm like, okay, that's where you get that feel of it. But overall, if it's connected, they did a pretty good job still on it.
Yeah. What about you, Richie?
That's what I was gonna say. It had that American Horror Story kind of feel, and
I
obviously
agree.
Sarah Paulson's in it.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not a huge fan of American Horror Story.
See,
So-
that's my thing with the Ratchet TV series. Like, I could tell that they're going for. I actually like the show. For
Yeah.
full clarifications, I think it's a good show. but it's hard to look at it as the same thing as being connected to the movie. Is for one, the vibe that you get off the show is closer to, like you said, American Horror Story or something weird like that. The show has the feeling of a horror movie, like the way that it's filmed, the way that it's directed, and the way that it kind of leads you. The original film that the character Nurse Ratched comes from doesn't seem like it's horror. Like I could see how it might lead in those directions based on the sadism of the character. But as of right now, even though I appreciate the movie and the show, I have a hard time connecting them together at this point in time. Maybe season 2, which is how they plan to end it, will probably connect it a little bit closer to the movie.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I have a hard time seeing that as being the same character. But apparently, it is the same character.
Well, like you said, we just have to wait for season 2. Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah.
Are they even in same timeline though? Because
Well,
Ratchet seems like it's like in the 40s.
Yeah, but that's a
And-
younger Nurse
It's
Ratched,
younger.
and
But she's not even old in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
But she's
like,
older. She's like
Yeah.
in her 50s or
50s,
something.
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. When I was watching, I assumed the show was like 40s.
Yeah.
And then,
1940s.
40s, yeah.
and then the movie was more
Like
like,
the
60s,
70s.
70s.
Right?
In the 1970s. So the original book that's based on a book by Ken Casey, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and the original idea behind it is Ken Casey, the person who wrote the book, is one of the first people to ever take acid or LSD, and he was one of the people that actually helped kind of push it out into the culture, which is an interesting connection. The book One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I think you could kind of get it at the movie, is supposed to be a metaphor for society, especially at the time, as the Jack Nicholson character represents the counterculture of the 1960s, where like, think for yourself, break free, try to be
Independent.
more of an independent, more of an individual. And Nurse Ratched and the mental asylum they're in is like half the characters are not actually crazy.
Yeah.
Like they're there voluntarily, and I think the idea behind it is that
One
he's
of them
a
there,
person.
he's like, oh, I'm just here because I want to be. It's like,
Yeah.
I could leave
A lot
whenever I
of them
want.
were, right?
Yeah, that's exactly.
Not true.
It's voluntary.
They're
So
lying.
yeah, I get that, but I think the original idea behind it was supposed to be a metaphor for society, how it tells people who are a little bit more free thinking and a little bit more
That we're
free spirited that you're actually crazy, which is why some of the people who are crazy in the movie are actually not crazy.
Right.
So it was kind of written. The book was written as a metaphor for the counterculture at the time and the idea of breaking out of what society wants you to be, which is what Nurse Ratched and the mental institution are supposed to represent at the time. So yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah, it was an interesting movie and interesting series. I want to see season 2 because I need to see how they connect a little bit more, because as of right
Yeah.
now, the connections seem pretty loose to me.
It's
at
like
the time.
halfways.
Yeah, halfway.
But yeah, shout out Sarah Paulson.
Sarah
She's
Paulson.
amazing. And then I believe
Louise Fletcher.
an American Horror Story got
Is there
accepted for a
another
new season. Yeah.
Yeah, it has a new
Good
season,
show.
and there's also a spin-off called American Horror Stories, which is going to be more concentrated on
The stories.
like individual stories instead of
Each
long.
episode.
Yeah, each episode will be its own story.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
I've
That's
only
like
watched
Goosebumps, but
Coven.
just in
That's the only season
Coven?
of American Horror Story that I've actually.
saw the first
watched,
one.
So
I've
Yeah,
seen all
Murder
of them.
House.
First season, yeah.
I've seen
I've seen Murder
episodes
I've seen all of them.
of all of
Coven,
the seasons, but Coven is the
Asylum,
only one.
Freak
I've
House,
watched.
Hotel.
If you guys like slasher movies, you should definitely check out American Horror Story
Murder House?
1984.
Oh, 1984.
I was going to say 88.
1984.
And if you like the fight against the people, watch The Purge.
So we have a very limited
Is that a
time today, but
It's a show.
before we go, I wanted to get into one last topic. So we've kind of moved out of Halloween, and everybody loves to watch horror movies around Halloween. I know Thanksgiving becomes before Christmas, but let's be honest,
Okay, Thanksgiving
People-
is pre-Christmas.
it's basically a pre-Christmas holiday. What are some of the movies that you like to watch around Christmas time? We're gonna start with you, Heaven. What are some of your favorite movies to watch around this time of year?
Christmas is my favorite holiday. And if you follow me on Snapchat, then you saw me like having a Christmas concert in my kitchen the other day. And this was before Halloween, so that's how you know I love that shit.
Mhm.
It's my jam. My favorite Christmas movie, like to start the season, is Elf, just because it's so lighthearted.
With Will Ferrell,
Yeah,
Oh my God,
It's-
that's funny.
it's a
James
classic.
Caan.
The Grinch with Jim Carrey. in terms of like funnier ones. And then have you seen the Christmas Chronicles on Netflix?
With Kurt Russell
Yeah.
and Goldie Hawn.
They're
as
having a
Mrs.
Christmas
Claus.
Chronicles 2 coming out, and it's going to be so amazing. The first one was great though. So if you haven't seen it, definitely watch that movie.
You know what I liked about that is that Santa Claus is always portrayed as this like fat jolly guy
Yeah.
that's always going ho ho ho, and in this movie it's Kurt Russell
And he's all
and he's cooler
sexy.
and he has like a red leather jacket instead of like the typical Santa thing. He's not fat. He doesn't say ho ho ho.
He sings jazz.
He
He's-
sings
sings
jazz
jazz.
music. He acts like he's Elvis. It's a pretty entertaining movie. I did like
They
it.
did on The Office. The time they stole their idea.
Yeah, probably.
And when Michael Scott was cool Santa Claus,
Oh yeah, it was.
he wore a
Ah.
robe and played jazz.
I definitely could see how that might have been an influence for that movie.
Yeah, I love The Office.
What about you, Josh? What are some movies you like to watch around Christmas time?
Don't look at me like that.
Because you just told me that you don't like Christmas.
No,
It makes
who's-
me hurt.
Who says I don't like Christmas? I like Christmas. I don't like the whole fact that, like, okay, or you said November is pre-Christmas, but come on, like, listening to Christmas music in November, that's not the thing.
I listen to it year
Like, come on, we
round.
already see Christmas lights in October, and it's barely
Once
like
it starts to get
Halloween,
cold.
like- yeah, once it starts to get cold, and once it freaking gets darker real soon, everybody starts. But it doesn't mean I don't like the season.
Okay.
It doesn't mean I enjoy.
Christmas Eve.
I love Christmas. And as for movies, go with cartoon overall. Nightmare Before Christmas.
That's a holiday.
If I want a comedy where I'm just laughing my ass off and it's rated R, Adam Sandler, 8 Crazy Nights.
Mm.
That's a funny one.
And then the one with Arnold, I just can't forget.
Jingle All the
Jingle
Way.
All the
Come on,
Way.
bro. Turbo
Don't
Man.
judge, but hey,
Turbo
I
Man.
said Arnold, so you already know.
Sinbad.
You know what I hate you
Even
guys.
had Jim Belushi in a cameo there as
Yes,
a
I
corrupt
know.
Santa Claus.
Those are my 3 movies for sure.
So
to
you
watch in
do-
the beginning. Yeah.
What about you, Richie? Do you watch? Is there any movies that you like watch around Christmas time?
I mean, The Grinch for sure.
Jack Frost.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey's The
Jim
Grinch.
Carrey's hilarious. And Home Alone.
Home Alone
2.
with the Donald Trump cameo,
Yeah, that
where he
awesome
directs
cameo.
he directs Macaulay Culkin to Jeffrey Epstein's room.
Oh my god.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's a
I'm just kidding.
different conspiracy. I don't know.
That's a conspiracy.
I don't know if that's
It was
true.
called out in the beginning, guys.
So
No, pay attention.
Also, I don't know. Those 3 probably. Die Hard.
I knew someone was gonna say it.
you
I was
have
waiting
to.
for
All right,
it.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I don't care what anybody
It's
says.
snowing.
It's snowing. All right,
No way.
Not the first one because it's California. It's in LA, but
And California never gets no.
It's-
snow.
It was
actually,
snow in Los
here's some
Angeles.
interesting information. This is not film related, but you guys might be interested to know this. There is a chance that we actually might get snow in LA this year. It would be the first time in 70 years. It would be the first time since the 1940s.
I'm
And there
snowboarding to
used
work.
to be
God.
there used to be a time in Los Angeles where you would get snow at least like once a
I don't
decade.
think
Was
we're
not a
ready for
common thing. But the way that the weather is this year and the way that it's going, we have a small chance of getting
I
snow in
could see
LA.
it. I could
I'm
see it.
excited about
And
it,
it-
but also that
and it-
means like I
it
should
would
It's a bad
happen in
sign.
2020.
It's a bad sign.
Wouldn't that it would happen in 2020, right?
Yeah.
I see a lot of
really
things
don't
going
fuck with
wrong
us.
that day when
know.
it snows.
You do?
I don't think the county's ready for it.
Oh,
True
so
that.
Ice roads and having to.
maybe that'll keep everyone.
what about
inside
Batman
their
and
house.
Robin? Is that a
That would
Christmas
be- that would
movie?
be
You
the
got
perfect
Mr.
time to
Freeze
fucking
freezing everything.
Quarantine
didn't see
everybody.
any.
Oh, there's snow. Stay inside. We'll pay you. All right. I'll do
I
it.
don't know.
I would consider it.
Batman and
Yeah.
Robin.
No, I would consider it.
Maybe.
But there's no Christmas
I
lights.
feel like I'm missing other Christmas movies.
I mean, there's a lot.
There's a lot
so
of
many
Christmas movies.
Well,
Miracle
one-
on 34th Street.
That's a great one. Well, for me, one of the
Iron
ones,
Giant.
one of the ones that's my favorite is The Nightmare Before Christmas. Now I know
That's
for
like a transition movie.
for
I
some
feel like.
people, for some
Halloween.
people
Yes,
that's a
that's
Halloween
Halloween.
movie, and for some people that's
It's
a
just
Christmas.
good to see on both.
All right, but here's the thing:
Halloween.
Disney
as
tried-
as a
knew they
horror
could-
person, if around
Fuck up people.
Halloween, I want to watch like actual horror
Horror.
movies.
So you like
I'm not
Jack
gonna-
Frost?
Yeah. So I need something. Yeah, Jack Frost is great.
Krampus.
Krampus is great.
Jack Frost with
Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's one of
yeah.
the best
See,
ones.
but
Yeah.
those are both Christmas movies.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's just
But,
on the
like,
off topic
nah.
of it being something different
But
other
yeah,
than the Jolly
but
movie.
I get more into the Nightmare Before Christmas around Christmas than I do Halloween. So I watch that every time around Christmas. Another Tim Burton related thing is actually Batman Returns. I always watch that around Christmas time because that's it takes place
Yeah.
during Christmas. It has to do with mistletoe and has to do with all of that. And so Batman Returns I watch every year around Christmas, and then the horror movie Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
a
a
good one.
slasher movie about a killer Santa Claus going around and hacking people up.
Mm-hmm.
I know that sounds really depraved, but it always
It's
gets me
awesome.
in the Christmas
That's a good
spirit.
one. Yeah,
that
it's
gets
good.
me in the Christmas.
It
spirit.
does.
It does.
It has Christmas
Nothing
decorations.
says
You got
Especially
Santa
with-
Claus
yeah.
hacking
Dead
people
bodies.
up.
When you grow up as like a horror movie fan, like those are the things you do look forward to.
Yeah, I love Christmas horror movies. Christmas horror movies
Oh,
are
Halloween Town
some
too.
of the best.
Which is
Are
awesome.
some of the
Which is
best. You
awesome.
gotta love
Halloween
those.
Town.
Who doesn't like Halloween Town?
I love that.
Awesome.
It's not a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
But it's never mind. What the fuck am I
Called
oh my God,
Halloween
guys.
Town.
Why the fuck am I thinking that? I'm sorry, guys.
All right, so we got to start wrapping this up. Our time is almost up now.
I'm on the wrong season. I started thinking Halloween.
All right, now before we go, now you guys all know that we here at Higher Passion Entertainment offer you so many different
Passion.
podcasts to get you going. But if you ever wondered how we produce these shows with such dope quality, we work with our friends at Productive Culture. Productive Culture offers full service recording, mixing, mastering, and podcast production. If you guys want to get your podcast going, hit them up. Go to productiveculture.com/podcast and tell them Higher Passion Entertainment sent you, and you'll get a discount on your first episode. Plus, your referral is going to help us, so don't forget to go to productiveculture.com/podcast and let them know that Higher Passion Entertainment sent you. And if you're interested in our other podcasts, we also have a couple of sports podcasts if movies aren't your thing. You could check out the Sports Dogs. We have Richie on that podcast.
Or Four Balls.
It'll give you all the information, everything in sports. If you're more specifically into baseball, you could check out the Four Balls podcast. If neither of those are your thing, you can always check out the Quick Scope podcast, which is concentrated on video games. And if
Yeah.
you're more into superhero media, comic books, and whatnot, you can check out the Heroes and Mutants podcast with both Josh and I.
Yeah.
And if you're into dating and your sex life, whatever, you can always check out what's the newest podcast called?
Just a tip.
Positively sensual. So y'all better
Positively
stay tuned.
Sensual. Check out the Positively Sensual podcast.
It's coming
So
to
stay
y'all
tuned.
soon. Prepare.
Coming to y'all soon. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in.
Yep.
We love you guys.
Like,
We'll see you-
follow,
like,
subscribe.
follow,
We
subscribe.
love you.
Higher Passion Entertainment. We'll see you next week.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.